Hey, it's Steve here again. I'm Cyber Pirate on Paintball Nation. I'm evil_paintball on Instagram, and just kind of giving you just a few tips and tricks for new players, people that may not go that often, just have some questions. Today, what I want to talk about is equipment, and I've been playing for a long time. I've been playing for about 15 years. I've never really bought an expensive gun. Just never have. I play with my kids, and so anything I've had to buy, I had to buy multiples of. Like right now, I have my youngest son plays, so it's 2 of everything. When my other boys were playing, it's 3 of everything. 1 for me, 1 for each of them. So it's really expensive to play that way. And what I've decided is, we can play and have good equipment and not have to spend a fortune. And I know, that Lux Ice, that CS2, whatever, they all are really nice looking guns. I would love to have, a Shocker RSX, and even that's only like $500-600. But again, when you're buying a couple of them, it gets expensive, and I don't want to buy something that we don't have multiples of, because for parts and things, it's a lot easier for me if we have the same guns and we have the same parts and we can swap things in between them. So it just kind of makes sense for that. But if you're playing by yourself and you don't want to spend that much money, that's okay too. I can tell you, my son just bought the 2012 Spider Phoenix, and it's like a $140 gun. Thing shoots 25 balls per second. It is quieter than my Die Rise, and shoots really well. It comes with everything pretty much you need right off the bat. Just a barrel maybe if you want a a little bit fancier setup, but other than that, it's a good deal for $150. If you want to play, I play, and we've got these Die Rises, and they're great guns. I've had these now 2 years. We've shot tons of cases of paint through them, and they've worked really well. They're just a good, reliable gun. Almost kind of boring because they are so reliable and good. We actually had 3 of them at one point, and my son was like, I wanted this Evil Pimp, and it wasn't working, and I was going to trade the guy straight up for it, and my son was like, what does it matter? Our guns never go down. We've never used that backup gun. We've only lent it out to other people. So, and he's right. It was so reliable that I was like, okay, I'll make the trade, and I did, and I've been shooting that gun, and I love that gun. But the Rise just works. It just does what it's supposed to do. It's a quick and easy maintenance gun. For $250, it's a great deal. There's other ones out there. There's Ethas. There's minis, and all these other guns that are in that same price range. If you want to go a little bit higher end than maybe a Spider or something like that, then you could go to something like one of those guns. Works great, very reliable, easy maintenance. I do maintenance of these things in less than 5 minutes a piece. Take them out, take the bowl out, lube it, clean it, make sure it's all good. In 2 years, we've gone through 1 eye pipe on the 2 guns, and that's not bad, considering that a lot of people have problems with those things. Don't crank the barrels in them. A lot of times that they crack that way or whatever. But we've just taken real good care of them. Now these Evil Pimps, these guns run about 125 to 175, somewhere in that range used. Parts are hard to find for them, but there are some other guns, older guns like that you can find that are probably a good deal, good money, and you don't have to spend a fortune to get into it. If you like to tinker, if you like to fix things, that's a way to go too. I like having a reliable gun because when I go to play, I'm going to be out there for 6-8 hours. I want to play, and I don't want the gun to break down on me. If the gun does break down, I want to have something to back it up with that I know I'm going to pull it out of the box and it's going to work. So that's kind of why I go with what I do. Tanks. You can see I've got a few air tanks up here. We've got the carbon fiber 6845s, the First Strikes, and those are a good price. Lifetime hydro. I'm not sure, in 5 years when it needs to be renewed, I'm not sure how feasible or how expensive that's going to be. But, I've had my other tanks rehydroed, and that's not too bad. So, even if it costs me, $50 instead of $20, it's still okay because it's a good tank. I do like the tanks, and you can use them for lifetime, so they're a little different. Most tanks are 5-year hydro, 15-year life. You can buy a used tank. So if you buy one, just look at the dates. Go online, find out how to get the dates on a tank. There's a born on date, and basically it'll have a month and a year. Look for that tag, find out what it is on that tank that you're looking at. If the thing is less than 15 years old and it's in good shape and works, it's not a bad deal. You may be able to get it pretty cheap. You can also we bought these little tanks right here. This is a First Strike. This is a 50 3000, so it's a aluminum tank. It's heavy. I mean, it's heavier than my 6845 is, but it's a little tiny tank. It's like a little peanut tank, and these things are on sale right now, like 45 bucks. You know, normally they're about 60, so that's a good deal, and it's a good way to get in cheap and not have to spend a lot of money on a tank. You know, these other ones are about 100, 120-ish, and then they go up from there. I mean, you can get tanks that are, you know, a couple $100, but you don't need to spend that much. If you're just playing occasionally, you know, that little 3,000 tank for 45 bucks right now, awesome deal. You can get that, and it would do a lot of good. A lot of times, you know, we go out and we'll play, and people, you know, we'll have the Rise or whatever, and people are like, you know, how much you spend on your gun and all your setup, and, you know, that's not the question to ask. The question to ask is, which mask do you have? How much did you spend on your mask? And even that, I have not spent a lot of money on masks. I mean, you can see we've got quite a few sitting here. But I will tell you, I mean, I have the V-Force. The V-Force masks are pretty good. I actually just recently gave my other one to my oldest son for him to use. I'm actually using, right now, I'm looking at this Vulcan, and I've got the yellow lens in it, which somebody ended up giving us a yellow lens for it, but you know, we play indoors, so I like having that yellow lens versus a clear lens, but the clear lens works just as well. My son plays with that, and that's fine. I've got tinted lenses and stuff like that for him. Again, depends on what you're going to be playing, what you're going to do, but you know, these masks are pretty affordable. There's a Tippmann that you can buy for like 50 bucks. It's a good mask. It has a thermal lens in it. And, you know, I don't care what gun you're shooting. If you can't see, you can't shoot them. And so I would tell you, look at your mask. Get a good mask. And everybody goes, you know, get an I4, get a, you know, Flex, get all the... You know, you don't have to spend that kind of money to get a halfway decent mask. You know, something that is going to, you know, last you a couple years, and that's about all you need. You know, buy a new one at that point. I would recommend not buying those used. It's kind of personal preference. I know people do buy them used, but you know, you're buying somebody else's mask. You don't know what it's been through, where it's been. You know, how much they've sweat in it. There's a lot of things like that that I would just kind of caution you about. But again, you know, you can buy brand new ones for less than 100 bucks, and that's where I would really spend my money, you know, even before buying a gun. I'd run a gun or run a tank or any of that kind of stuff if you can't afford to get a good mask first, because that's going to make all the difference in the world when you're playing. And then the last thing is hoppers. You know, I've never had a high-end hopper. I've never had one. I've played with guys that have, you know, rotors and all the other stuff and spires and things like that. You know, these little VMAX Plus hoppers are pretty good. You know, 50 bucks roughly, and they are 32 balls per second, you know, loading speed. You know, I put it on the Pimp, as fast as that thing can shoot, it'll hold it, it'll, you know, keep up with it. I've never, you know, had, unless I put it on ramp, full auto, you know, whatever, that gun is not going to outshoot that tank, and just on semi. And I'm going to tell you, you know, even if you're shooting a gun and ramping, you know, up to 15, 20 balls per second, that hopper is going to keep up with it. It's pretty fast. Great deal for the money. Again, you can buy more expensive ones, and you know what? Those are things that too that you can buy used. You know, if you're looking in the used market, guns, you know, tanks, hoppers, those are fine to buy used. Just be careful. Watch where you buy. You know, I buy everything pretty much through Paintball Nation, or I buy it brand new. I don't do anything else. But you know, there's Facebook groups. There's a lot of the places that you can and, you know, are able to go buy used equipment. Just be real careful. If it doesn't make sense, or if it doesn't seem right, it's probably not right. You know, back out of the deal, go find something else. If it's too good to be true, probably somebody, you know, is trying to scam you or something like that. So just be real careful with that. That would be my advice. You know, pod packs, you can buy those used, and I tell you, you know, look for those used, because those are probably something that, you know, you can get a very high-end one for a lot less money. You know, people just have extras or whatever, trying to dump them. And then clothing, I would tell you, you know, too, with the clothing that, you know, I've got old jerseys, and I've got pants and stuff like that. You know, I'm probably not the best person to ask about that kind of equipment, because I like the old school stuff. I've got my old Evil pants, you know, from like 15 years ago that are just awesome, and they still work and rock. We just bought jerseys, Jerseys Clinic jerseys and shirts and stuff to match and all that. Just because I wanted ones, I wanted the ones with padded arms. I wanted, you know, all the features of it. I liked having our own names on it and stuff, and my son and I match, and so, you know, it's good for him. It's got his name on it and stuff, and you know, it's kind of cool. You don't have to do that. You can go out and buy, you don't even have to have a jersey. I mean, we play in the heat, and a lot of times we play in just t-shirts and shorts because it's just so hot. And, so having all that fancy equipment doesn't always help. But I would recommend pants at least, because, if you're going to be sliding places, or, you're going to get shot, you don't want to get shot on bare skin on your legs. It just leaves a bunch of marks on you, and, or you're going to slide through stuff and you may hit sticks or whatever. It's nice having those padded knees in there just to save you from getting hurt and having to do anything like that. And then the last thing is, we wear, the one expensive thing I probably bought in the last 10-15 years are the Armadillo Dreads. I highly recommend those. They are awesome pieces of equipment. They look good, but they're nice because they breathe. It's mesh, they breathe well. Protect your head better than anything I've ever had. I mean, short of full helmet, which is hot and miserable. These things are really good head protection. And again, they kind of look cool. They're nice and flexible. They just fit over your head and put your mask over it, and you get bounces off of it all day long, and you get air through it because it is mesh. They fit great. I throw them in the washer when I get back, just air dry them, just like I do with all my other equipment, and everything seems to, hold up on them really well. A little expensive, but again, worth every penny. If you can't do that, find a head wrap, find, a hat, throw it on backwards, just to give you some kind of head protection, because, you will get shot in the head, and, the better you get, the more often you actually get shot in the head, because they see less of you, and, when you see only this much of you, when you're standing behind a bunker, you're probably going to get a headshot or hand shot or anything like that. Gloves and that kind of stuff are good. I have the Exult Free Flex arm pads. So when I do play in just a t-shirt or whatever, I usually wear those just to kind of protect my arms. I get shot in the arms a lot, so it's nice getting those bounces. And they have the built-in glove with it, which is kind of nice too, so I don't get shot in the back of the hand as much. And so that's really kind of it. I would tell you, really do your homework before you buy any equipment. I go out, I look at what people have said about the equipment. When I look at guns, like I said, I've never bought like really high-end guns. I started off, bought the Ions. Kind of bought those from a guy, when they first came out. I mean, we were like the first people to have them out on the field, and I bought those things, and everybody's like, "Oh, those are so great." And I realized, they leaked a lot, and I was spending more time fixing them than I was playing, and I'm like, okay, I want something better. And so I actually researched, bought Evil Omen 2.0s. Now, not the 1.0s, not the bad ones, but the 2.0s, which were really good. They had lifetime warranty. When Evil was in business, that was great, because if I needed a cup seal or something, I just call them up and go, "Hey, can you send me a couple?" And they'd send them, and we'd replace them, and away we go. Those guns, I spent $400 a piece on. It was probably the most expensive guns I ever bought. But they were awesome. They hardly ever let us down. They just shot great. People would like, "Evil Omen, aren't those things junk?" And it's like, not these. These are pretty good. Took care of them, kind of maintained them. When I stopped playing, again, got back in again. I looked at the Rise, and I was like, pretty decent gun for the money. It's not the high-end fancy thing, but it's kind of like a Die M2, but doesn't have the board in it, doesn't have the fancy screen and stuff. Shoots, it's not quite as fast, not maybe quite as easy on paint, but it does a great job. For a rec player, it's going to do everything you need it to do, and then some. You're going to have people asking, what is that you're shooting? ETHA 2, those kind of guns are good. The Mini, GS, all those kind of guns are great. But again, you're not going to have to break the bank to do it. Spend the money wisely. Don't spend just on anything, just because somebody's got one. Do your homework. Don't just buy junk, because there's a lot of junk stuff out there. Look at it, ask around, and don't go, which is better, a Rise or a Mini? Both are about the same kind of gun. You need to know which one is, what are the problems with these guns, and can I fix that? Because that's going to be the ultimate thing. When that thing breaks down, can you fix the gun? If you can, great. If you can't, then it's something to think about. Okay, I need something a little simpler. Maybe a spool valve is not for me, and maybe I need to pop it or whatever the case may be. But you need to do your homework to know not only what you're buying, but how to fix it when it breaks, because that's going to be the determining factor for you when things go wrong. Are you going to have to get somebody else to fix it all the time? Does it have a warranty? Maybe it does, and maybe you can just send it back in or call them, and they'll fix it, to help you fix it over the phone. Those are great guns too if you can find something like that where it has a warranty. But again, if you can't, find something you can fix, or at least your friends know how to fix, to show you what to do. Because you ultimately, if you play paintball enough, you want to know how to do it yourself, so you don't have to depend on other people. You can just get your gear and just get out there and shoot and have fun. So hope that helps. And it's a lot of information. Hope you get to play it back if you need anything. And talk to you soon.